These are my sponsors, Muay Nation and Onyx MMA in Singapore. And this was a fight against Gaewdaa Pet, who I've fought now 5 times. She was actually the first fight I had when moving to Pattaya. Um, and I won the first two, and then she won two. And then this is our fifth one. And this was at Tepisit, which is like 2 streets up from my gym. It's a very cool stadium, and she beat me at this stadium the last time that we fought, and in front of all of these people, and it was very important to me to redeem myself because that was a very embarrassing fight. Um, Not so much just that I lost on my home turf, but like, I don't know, the way that she fights, our styles, her style is very aggravating to me. She won on points, but there weren't a lot of points scored, so really it was just that she looked better and kind of stymied me the whole time, so it was frustrating for me to not have something specific that I could change to like go back to a moment and be like, if I'd done this, if I'd thrown that, if I hadn't had this happen, then I would have won the fight. It was kind of like an all around, you have to fight more, I don't know, decisively or something. Uh, but I did a lot of work leading into this with Pinu and kind of mentally. Um, and this was supposed to be a 3 minute round fight, which ultimately ended up being scrapped while we were in the ring right before starting our Muay. I don't know who opposed the 3 minute round. Women do 2 minute rounds, so there was some kind of, women don't do that they could lean on. But it was really disappointing. I was very excited to have 3 minute rounds. And in Thailand, things change very last minute like that. If something doesn't come up like that before a fight, it would be disconcerting because there's always some kind of chaos and last minute changes leading into a fight. Um, Even though it was Pinu's birthday and there were a lot of other Petrungung fighters on this card, um, I didn't have a lot of pressure from the gym or anyone to be a particular way or win this fight or anything, but I had put a lot of pressure on myself, and I was actually very stressed out about it. I'm happy that her Ramoy is shorter than mine so that I can stalk her in the corner. It's always weird to stalk an empty corner. And when I do that slash, I've been breaking the garlands lately. I snapped off the head of it. It's on the ground over there. The ref picks it up. So that's Moat Ek in my corner. He's been in my corner quite a lot. The ref is wearing pink because it's a Tuesday, and pink is the color of Tuesday. I don't know if they always do that, but I noticed it that day. So starting out, just wanted to close space because I gave her way too much space the first time she beat me. Just dealing with my clinch pretty well there, but getting some turns going. Nice. My response to that was, you can see how stressed I was by the response. I wasn't quite ready for it. I should have charged her and stood over or something. I was working on low kicks for this fight. I forgot about that. And she gets chastised by the ref right there for grabbing the rope. That's a foul. And a lot of times they'll just let it go because it's like this, jumping up on the ropes monkey business. But I loved that she got in trouble for it because you're not allowed to do it. So she's got this very femur style, kind of evasive, a little bit backwards, scoring a point and kind of staying back. I'm more of a trying to gut you with my knees and chase after you kind of fighter. So our styles are potentially exciting or potentially incredibly boring. And I think this fight was better than the last one. I'm staying closer better. My teep is working. I've been working on my teep a lot and had been practicing it with the previous fights that I'd had, which happened to be against her teammate. So she and her gym had seen that I've started using my teeps. And they've also seen that I've started bouncing in the clinch. So I wasn't really sure whether they had an answer to that or not. She didn't really seem to in this fight. Awesome. I love when my teep works like that. It's a very new technique for me. I mean, I've always known how to teep, but I've never really used it the way that I'm using it lately. It's a fade out end to round one for some reason. So at Tepisit, all of the gamblers are behind where Kevin is standing to film, so they're all right behind him, and you get this wave of sound all from one side of the stadium. And they started getting louder as the rounds went on. That's Tom Brown of Muay Thai Action Photography on the ring there. He shot some really nice pictures of this fight. I had troll face because I was so stressed. I've got the fight in my face in all of the photos, so I'm not super happy with them, but there are some really good shots that if I were not critiquing myself, they'd be good. Here, I'm not bouncing yet. If I were bouncing, this would be a different story, but I'm so stressed out that I'm not thinking yet. We're just turning a lot. She's using this wall of China, which has been my kryptonite with her. Well, with a lot of people, but I've been working to try to fix it. And I do have some solutions to it, but they're just not ready for me. Like, when I'm under stress and when, I'm focusing on other things, they're not instinctual yet. Here she does her best wall of China of the fight, and we have a photo of this, and Pinu looks all pissed off in the background. But ultimately I end up taking her back right there, and that's a really good point for me, and she doesn't really wall of China that much after that as much. Here she's performing really well, though. She does this step-off thing. She steps off to her left and then kicks. And in previous fights I've hooked her on it, which definitely stuns her, but actually not doing that seems to be keeping her from kicking more. I don't know why that is. Even though I'm totally stressed out of my mind, I'm throwing a lot more in this fight. I have a greater variety of strikes. I'm checking her kicks really well. I'm staying close more than I have before. She's throwing things as well. There's just more variety from even 2 months ago, the kinds of things I was doing in fights. I make the same mistakes, but I recover from them faster, which is a very good sign of progress for me. Alright, so round 3 is really the start of the scoring rounds in Thailand. So usually you see an uptick in energy. You see she's ready to go there. Here she starts out throwing a bunch of jabs, but immediately stops because she's not really a punching fighter. I'm hopping a little bit in and out, but ultimately decide to go straight in, which is good. Both turning a lot. Here I score some knees, and finally remember to start hopping in the clinch. Bounce her right into her corner. Oh man, I don't know why I didn't do that sooner. Just wasn't thinking about it. I mean, ultimately when you're trying to bring things into fights, I'm trying to get my hands online. Nice slow sweep there. Gingerly lay her to the ground. Ultimately, when you're trying to bring things into fights, I'm trying to get my hands going more. I was working on low kicks before this fight. You do them even when they don't work. It's not oh, they're not ready yet. It's taking the reps. You do it even when it doesn't work so that you calm down. You're even if it's not working, I can do it. And so that's what I'm trying to do with my hop. Is that it may not work all the time, but thinking to do it and making it this will eventually work. There, my knees are starting to get over her. I'm starting to score more. Her demeanor is actually changing a little bit. I don't like her style. I don't like this style of fighting. I don't like watching it. But despite my animosity towards her, because I was trying so hard to redeem myself, she's actually a pretty cool fighter. She always shakes my hand when she sees me with this look of I have to do this. But she's from a really good gym. Kormongpet has one of the most famous female fighters in Thailand named Namtan, which means both sugar and brown, but I'm assuming it means sugar when people say it. Nice turn there. Yes. And then I'll walk away because I'm stressed. Not even looking badass. Not even taking the opportunity to be yeah, I put you down. Instead of wandering around to the corner. Is it over? Here Modak is yelling at me. He's not chastising me. He always wants round 4 to be the dominant round. So he's one more round, you just win this round. And I used to hate that because there are 2 more rounds in the fight. But I understand what he means now. It's you get your lead in the 4th round and then you can cruise a little bit in the 5th and it's not as desperate. There, her wall of China works pretty well, but I'm able to bounce and keep scoring through it. So she ends up looking not great. Whereas in our last fight, she looked really good just doing that because I wasn't responding, so it looked like she had stymied me. which ultimately she had because I wasn't doing anything. Nice turn there. Grabbing the rope. Modek showing that to the crowd. So in this round, you want to like score and show your dominance. So she's trying to score, but because she's not scoring high, she can't just keep backing up. She has to keep staying a little bit close to me. I remember in this round when she was spinning off the ropes like that, she was doing these really sharp turns. I was like, oh shit, man, like she's totally, like I'm just chasing, but you can chase in round 4, that's okay. You just have to score when you do so. And I'm scoring with my knees, so I'm getting ahead as I go. Here, almost throwing her down again, scoring with my knees there, wrenching her. Here, as I'm hopping, I get this different angle on her head, and I ultimately get over her. Look at that. I'm bending her down, kneeing straight into her gut, and then the ref, he's incredible, puts his knee between my knee and her face. So I need the back of his leg instead of her face. I still get the point. She doesn't have to suffer the damage. Thai refs are on it, man. Hear my left hook going. She's trying to throw those elbows. She cut me in our second fight. I ended up winning that fight. It was like in the last minute of the last round that she cut me. So she's trying to intimidate me, but I'm not intimidated by that shit. Alright, so round 5. Pinu finally came over to my corner. He had been sitting at a different side. And I was like, do I need to go? Do I need to go? And he's like, go a little bit. Go a little bit, and then you can back off. You win. It's good. But he kept looking at the gamblers. His uncle was up there, and his uncle is the one who finances the money that goes into like Dermpan side bets and things like this. I think I actually fought with his uncle's name instead of Petrung Rung. It's Royal Thai Residence. He owns this condo. But he was looking at him like they kind of were concerned, like maybe they hadn't put enough money on the fight, and now the odds had been such that they could have made a lot more money than they did or something. He wasn't concerned about the result of the fight. It seemed to be something that I wasn't fully part of, like the gambling. So here I'm checking her kicks like a boss. It's her kicks against my teeps. And we're both trying to score a point and then kind of pull back a little bit to see if the other person will chase to be in the lead. And she's following me, so I'm in the lead here. She's trying to score a big point. Can't quite get to it. Keeps going. Good hands there. I remember kind of hitting her with a clip. See, here as I back up and we're not striking and she's following me, that looks really good for me and not great for her. So even though points are not being scored, that's showing that I'm in the lead right there. And she's actually getting farther behind by chasing me like that and not scoring. If you chase, you have to score. Trying to knock her over. Oh, she's pissed off. She's fixing her shorts. Fixing your shorts is this, like, I just got hit thing that people don't think about, but when they do it, it's definitely acknowledging that you just got tagged. And then the body language at the end. She does not look like she thinks she won. She gets out before it's even red. Sometimes you'll see both sides acting like they won, like throwing their hands up, and I like that. It's trying to perform at the last second like you should have given me the win. I'm getting dragged around. So I come over to this corner because Pinu wants to take a picture. And I end up doing this totally bizarre pose. It was a horrible picture. I posted it on Facebook. I don't know why I posed like that. It's such a bad picture. I looked at it later and was like, what the hell was I doing? This guy had helped put Vaseline on my face and was yapping at me the entire time before my fight. I don't know him, but I think he knows the gym or something. He must have bet money. He was very concerned about my cut. And then that's Bai. She's from the gym. She's like 10 years old. And that's her mom in the striped shirt behind her. They live at the chicken farm in the back. I have to get my shoes. The next guy goes straight in. There's no, like, lead-in nonsense. It's just one fight after another here in Thailand. I love that. That guy right there in the chair is a Lumpini promoter, and I didn't know who he was, so I didn't give him the proper respect that I would, knowing that now. And then I just march over to this trash can to have my gloves taken off because I'm so massively stressed about this fight. I'm like not even celebrating. I'm like, Modak, just take them off. Good show.